Need help organizing. Okay, we're live apparently, according to Zoom anyway. Yeah, all right. I even got to see the notification. All right. Well, good morning. I know it's a lot earlier than I normally would come on, but I wanted to make sure and get a live in today. And the reason I wanted to is because I may be spending the day with my bestie. Today is her birthday. Happy birthday to my best friend, my housemate. I mean, the the being whom arm in arm we are going down the yellow brick road in some senses, just learning about ourselves and um mm, at the moment our quests have intertwined, right, is a very beautiful way to, that's what it just came in. It's like each being, in my view, is really on their own personal quest, a quest for themselves, really. We forget that once we get in here. Um, and then that becomes reinforced as we are filled full of misinformation, disinformation, malinformation, just outright incorrect information. And it's really no one's fault, right? I mean, it's happened for eons and eons. It's adjusted over time. And nowadays, it's like you can almost, well, no, it's not you can almost, you can really see it on the world stage very clearly. Or at least I can, because these are energies uh, that are associated with my own personal trauma that I've been working on. You see, I can relate to what I'm seeing out here from a big picture stance. Well, maybe that's because of, 63 years of experience on the planet, and wow, what an experience it's been. What is that, a long, strange trip it's been, right? Who wants to come out this morning? Okay. So, wow, I don't even know what I just said. It's weird when that happens. I'd like to be able to totally, I think that must be why. Is that why? Sometimes I think that's why it has to be recorded or on here so that I can, well, and that's the thing. I don't know. I never go back and look. I do this and I just move on. Hmm. Is there something to that? Maybe I need to see about that. Sylvanius. Oh, there's a lot in this card. Talk about behind the mask, removing of the mask, right? Man, this is card number 34. That's a seven numerologically. Wow, that's very interesting too. Sevens are surrounding me in the last few days. Um, um, I have a friend that we had, appears to be some sevens surrounding this friend of mine as well. So, oh, wow, that's very interesting. Well, personally, I feel like uh, I don't know. There's a lot in this card. There's a light within us all that we have accidentally masked, is what I'm getting out of this. And this is, for me, that light shining through. It's like it knocks off the mask from anyone who might want to hold it up to themselves. In other words, the light knocks off my own mask and any of those around. Like, this is why some feel like they can see when others can't, right? That's kind of what I get from this card. Um, we'll see what it has, because also we have the sword of truth. For me, that's the sword of truth in that card that this character is hanging on to. Kind of interesting that the divine masculine and the sacred feminine there together in differing ways. Okay. That's a bit of a synchronicity. I'm still recording the Jeshua channelings for on this channel, and if you're drawn to that, it will be in its own playlist. Card number 35. So we have 34 from the fairies, 35 from the Rumi deck. A progression. As the masks come down, the next step will be the lover and the beloved. This is an 8 numerologically. This is, for me, the upward facing infinity symbol. Another synchronicity. I just purchased a really cool uh, pair of earrings for $1.25 at the Dollar Tree. Turns out they were sterling silver when I got home and looked at them. Who knew, right? It's not the Dollar Tree actually. It was a different kind of Dollar Tree. And it must be a local thing or Southeast or whatever. But they were adorable fused glass upward facing infinity symbols. They're just gorgeous. I have to have them cleaned and or otherwise I'd be wearing them. So that's quite again, for me, a synchronicity pointing me in a particular direction. Look here, there's information for you over here. And that for me is what the quest is all about. Okay. So Sylvanus. The key words here are truth, cutting through deception and clarity. Brian called this painting the mask of truth, true dreaming. Sylvanus, who holds the mask of truth, is Lord of the Woodlands, his crown of antler branches signifying his authority. He presents the mask to us, supported by the fairy of aspiration, as she welcomes us to our own potential. We wear the mask to look inward, seeing our true selves, not our false and fearful selves, but the beings of light that we truly are and what we have the potential to be. It becomes very difficult for us to make excuses and blame others for our failures and fears once we have seen what we could be if we were willing. What in fact we already are, but are not quite living up to. Yes. Hence the being hard on oneself, I would imagine. And especially when, one has accepted the fact that, I create my own reality. So then the questions start becoming, why are we doing this now? If I'm not happy with anything that's going on in my life, I have to ask myself. I thought it was very odd that there was a mask of truth. It seemed to me that we use masks to hide rather than to reveal. Oh no, Sylvanus assured me. First, you put the mask on and hide, and then you take it off to reveal the truth. Isn't that what we got going on here on the planet? I mean, a lot of folks, I used to put the veils outside of me too, and I know a lot of folks that first enter into the esoteric realm and start looking at hidden knowledge and ancient ways of moving through life. And the wording seems to be that the veils are out there and they become thinnest at this particular time, which that I'm not saying it's not, but for me, I've also noticed that the veils are in here. This is the first place the veils are. And this explains why some people can see what's going on the planet and why some people can't, because the veils inside of each individual is set up by each individual. That's the whole point of this game we're playing here on the planet, always and forever. That is the entire point. And so those veils that we have on the inside, only when we are ready, only when the psyche can handle it, and it's different for each being, will that veil thin and then be removed. And it's no matter, listen, I've tried to strip veils away from people, and with the help of my beautiful friend that I shouted out for her birthday this morning, with her assistance, I was able to see what the hell I was doing to people. I was re traumatizing people. When your psyche is not ready for something, it operates in a whole different way. And only if you're present will you see that being inside that vessel go and freak out, because that is what happens. And I didn't pay attention. I thought my need for them to wake up was the most important thing, because if you only knew. The problem is, it ain't my job to tell anybody. They're not dumb. Contrary to what the whole world would have us believe, people don't need other people to tell them anything, honestly. Honestly. So, wow, this is a very interesting card for today. Because I really feel like that's true. The whole thing. We come in here behind a veil, and then we start piling on these masks and personas that everybody else tries to put on us, right? I mean, because, oh, well, so and so over there said I'm this way, and well, I guess I must be because they are experiencing me, so I take that on board. It reminds me of the old lady in the scene of the labyrinth where she's piling stuff on her back and telling her, you're going to need this on your journey. And it's a whole big bunch of burdens that she's carrying around to get to the end. It's like, no, you don't need all of that. All of these other personas and things that are not me. I don't need those. I love this cards in so many ways. I see, I said, not sir. Well, so I'm going to say that again. Oh no, Sylvanius assured me. First you put the mask on and hide, and then you take it off to reveal the truth. This is very fairy. I see, I said. Not certain I did, but not sure I wanted to either. Besides, Sylvanus continued, your face is not your truth. Sometimes faces need to be hidden so truth can be seen. Or sometimes you need to make a crack in consciousness, an aha moment, in order to see a truth you have been blind to. And for me personally, I can see a truth and then begin to try to incorporate it in my life, practice a new way of being. And and all of a sudden that crack in that consciousness, I've termed it for me an alchemical epiphany, because something happens. It's like this concept that I'd been contemplating, considering, holding out here in my field, all at once goes whoosh, and it comes in and seats itself. And there's no way around. I mean, you can feel it the way it works. the whole body goes whoosh. For me, that's what it feels like, and that's why I termed it that, an alchemical epiphany, because it's like, oh, that's what that means. Oh, wow. That kind of thing is what this feels like it's saying to me here. From before the time we were born, people have been projecting their ideas, hopes, fears, and confusions onto us. As we grow up, we accept many of these untrue projections as our reality, our partly false, partly true picture of ourselves. Brian wrote, "The fairy Kundran holds one of the many sacred swords of fairyland." And that's this person right here, right? This one, forged long ago by mysterious dwarves, is laid across the cliff of the other world as a bridge to fairyland. The two-edged sword symbolizes the union of the human world with the world of fairy, as well as the union of the outer world of nature with the inner world of the psyche. It is the sword of clear-cut understanding and sharp perception, but once we cross into fairy, it becomes the sword of courage and noble service. At this time, you are discovering new truths about yourself. They are essential for you to know in order to create relationships based on mutual respect, affection, and trust. Yeah, because you know what? I said to Lisa last night, I said, how can people expect to trust anyone if they don't even trust their own self? And some people will flippantly say, well, I trust me. But do you? I mean, really? Do you? And which you are you trusting? The ego? The ego one that wants to be liked and is wearing these masks? Or the one that has had the mask, decided to have the mask removed and say, oh, wait a minute. Maybe I would, because I'm going to tell you what, I'm right there. I would have said, yes, I trust myself. I trust myself 100. And I was. It wasn't a falsity. I just wasn't trusting the one I'd like to trust, which is my soul, which is that higher aspect of me that can guide me, that is willing to guide me and lead me on this really cool adventure if I would just trust, right? I mean, trust in the authenticity of the trueness of that larger portion of me. Oh, okay. The portion that resides within the light of the Christ consciousness that wants to fully meld with the personality in this vehicle. That's what I'm just shown, right, about this. Interesting. So they are essential for you to know in order to create relationships based on mutual respect, affection, and trust. These things can only work if we see ourselves and others as we are. Currently, both fairy and this world are functioning as a giant mirror in which we see ourselves in many surprising ways. People tend to dread this because we assume that we are worse than we think we are, but this is far from necessarily true. Now is a time for finding out the false and misleading beliefs you have accepted and discovering that you are a better person than you thought. Well, not only that, but the one thing that has helped me tremendously in these moments of now is realizing that not one being on this planet has escaped the trauma that gets installed along with the programming and the conditioning and the various indoctrinations from the differing areas of society as a whole. There's not one being. There is no, I'm sorry. Looking back at the whole Leave It to Beaver, you can see where there would be trauma installed in a lot of even that. And that for a long time was supposed to be the happy family depicted, right? But and there's no one really to blame. Honestly, there's not. We've done it to each other. Um, So finding out that you're a better person than you thought and have the potential to accomplish more than you believed you ever could. If someone else says you are better or simply different than you think you are, don't automatically reject this. Think it over carefully. You have more to give and more to enjoy than you have been giving yourself credit for. So many people I feel like would surprise them to know that because of the very nature of the fact that we are all one and yet singular, absolutely then logically thinking would mean you have a part in how all of this plays out, and your song is also required in whatever brings you joy. That's what you add to the rest of the collective. And that's why following what brings one joy in each moment changes the whole entire perspective for everyone. Because then that's what's being taken in and what's being emitted instead of, misery. Ugh, gotta make the donuts. Feel the difference in between visiting somebody at the donut shop who don't want to be there, and think about that whole entire attitude being put into whatever it is you think you're going to buy and eat. Now you're eating that frequency into your whole field and the physical vessel. It's a whole thing, man. We don't even think about it, but it really does matter because we create our reality as we move. We just don't realize it. That's what I think this new part of the game is. Waking up to the fact that, oh, hey, wait a minute. Uh, hold up. We do this. So I really love the fact that these two cards came out together. Number 35, for me, this is the upward facing infinity symbol. Again, this is how we go not only manifestation but materialization, right? Is what it feels like to me. The lover and the beloved. When you move beyond consciousness, you caress the beloved. When you move into the unknown, beyond everything, the beloved caresses you. Rumi. It is not enough to love me. I want you to allow me to love you. It is not enough to desire me, to want to be closer to me. I want to reach out to you and grab a hold of you, drawing you into me and never letting you be apart from me again. There is so much more for us to experience, you and me, than simply gazing, even with love, at each other from a distance. You see, for me, this is a love poem from my higher being to my ego. And can I just tell you that when I realized that I was being wooed by my soul, was in the parking lot of a Walmart, and I sat in my van and I cried my eyes out because I realized that I'd been being courted all that time. I get earworms of songs and they mean things. My soul loves me, and that's what this is. For me, this is me to me. Everything communicates with me, about me, to me. Yes, that's some people will say, oh, wow, that's a little bit narcissistic. Uh, no, it's not like that. Not at all. Not at all. I ask myself the hard questions and I get the answers. And when the answers come in this kind of a form, from that higher part of me that all it wants is to come in here and guide me for the rest of my life to uh, also continue the joy that I've had for the last, wow, this has actually been since, well, 2015 is really, well, 2012. There was something happened for me there too, but it's just been an opening to this Christ consciousness part of me that really wants in here. And oh, it's so exciting because I've seen parts of me that I couldn't see without feeling this way. And that, I'm going to read this again. Think of this in terms of what if you were guided to be here today for whatever the reason, hey, lady, to hear this message in this way. Perhaps you wouldn't have thought about it this way. But what if this is a message from you through me to you, right? From your higher aspect to your ego. It's at least possible. It's at least plausible. And so I'm going to start it again. It is not enough to love me. I want you to allow me to love you. It is not enough to desire me, to want to be closer to me. I want to reach out to you and grab a hold of you, drawing you into me and never letting you be apart from me again. There is so much more for us to experience, you and me, than simply gazing, even with love, at each other from a distance. Let me take you into my arms. Let me hold you until we cease to know or care where you and I were once, you and I. For instead, we will be one. Will you allow it? Will you allow me? Will you allow us to be? I say yes to my soul. Oh, yes. Wow. I don't, this is, again, this is always for me. So, but I still maintain, okay, if I'm still here, love, I have to leave probably by 10:30. That's why I came on early. So I hope that Crystal will be able to join, but I have to go by 10:30. So unless I get the high sign that I'm not going. Okay, so wow. I guess, and I've known this because for the last little bit I've been so quiet, and there's been a lot coming into my field, and it's just starting to, oh wow, which is another reason why I talked about the alchemical epiphany. Oh boy, this is going to be a huge, 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 huge thing for me, apparently. Wow. Oh, okay. Well, oh, sweet beloved, the divine, the great beloved has a passionate desire for you, to love you, to touch you, to make the divine presence known to you, so that you will cease to fear the darkness, take delight in all of life, and become mesmerized by the beauty of love in its endless emanations. But how we resist love at first. Yep, out of fear, out of non belief in self, or the idea of multidimensionality, or the possibility that the second coming could actually mean that you're asked to allow a larger portion of yourself in your vessel. Is it really so strange that it could be that? No, that's a possibility, a plausibility, and a potentiality that could happen on this earth for all to take part of if they choose, because this is a free will universe and there will never be anything forced on anyone that you don't choose. I really feel like that's really been up for everybody to see on the planet for the last little while. And wow. But how we resist love at first. Oh, yes, we have been burned before, have we not? Abandoned, betrayed, so painfully disappointed, cast aside, and have suffered at the hands of some unworthy lover. Can this great divine love affair be tarred with the same brush, with the same bitter expectations that keep the heart closed? No, not for me anyway. You are too beautiful to be hidden away behind a bitter and gated heart. That is so unworthy of you. So then, can you allow the great beloved to reach for you, to receive that sacred touch every day, to be spoken to with words of love, to receive? You who give of yourself, can you recognize the beloved wishes to give to you too? These need not be mutually exclusive happenings. Come now, deep down, you know the genius of the divine is such that in being received, much is given. You shall not be selfish in letting yourself be seen and loved. Allow it, rejoice in it. Take delight in allowing yourself to receive life and let the world soak up the ardent glow of your sensual surrender into the great beloved's embrace. And I got to tell you that the more I allow the larger portion of me in here, the more I know it shines out because of the reaction of others. I don't have to say a word. I just walk in and I used to be stared at and I thought it was because I was 490 pounds. And it probably was from then, but I really didn't expect to have the same kind of staring at when I was a more reasonable weight, So it's been a bit different. This oracle brings you a message. Something has to change in your physical world. You are in need of more sustenance, more love, more connection, and more nourishment that touches your body and soul. Well, I know that I I haven't been very active at all, so I know the body is craving, something. Wow. And brings them into deeper oneness with each other, with life, with love. Dare you open up and allow that love in? The great beloved has desired that this be so. Will you heed that holy desire? Will you allow love in? Say yes. I say yes. I do. I say yes. If you find this difficult now is the time to gently, carefully tend to the walls you once placed between yourself and life, walls of tentativeness, excessive caution, fear of abandonment and betrayal. And I have had that, and I thought that I had allowed that to play all the way out, but maybe not, right? Doubt of your own lovableness. Well, I am not everybody's cup of tea. I really am not everybody's cup of tea. And I've known that all my life. So I have to just realize that and move along. And doubts based on past pain without substance. You are so much greater than these crumbling walls. And make no mistake, there's walls crumbling everywhere. If you look outside of yourself, we are showing ourselves that it's time to dismantle all that we think we've known and start with brand new because it's so corrupt. There's no hope of saving any of it. And it's time to get in here and really figure out what it is we truly wish to experience so that we can start seeing that out there, which I really feel like is right around the corner because I'm making space for it. I hope you will join me in that. They are the stuff that is designed for demolition, not devotion and honoring. Can you begin to unpack the bricks you mistakenly believed were essential to your safety and well-being? Boy, that is bringing back that old lady from Labyrinth again. I just was flashed her little puppet putting, this teddy bear and that chair and that rug and from the girl's room on her back saying, "You'll need this on your journey. You'll need this on your journey." Because we've been carrying that stuff. Sorry, I got to get this out or it's going to go running down my face. um, oh my gosh. Because we carry all that unnecessary baggage that make it so ridiculous and not true, most of it not true anyway, but we thought it was essential. Can you begin to unpack the bricks you mistakenly believed were essential to your safety and well being? You are too vast a sea for that small puddle of thought now. The oceanic world of love is your true home, and the sun is beating down upon you. It is too hot to gaze at the ocean longingly from afar, or even stand by its edge. Strip off your layers, run to the ocean, and dive in. This oracle brings you special guidance. An offer or opportunity is on its way to you or has recently been presented. It may be an idea you have been nurturing or one presented to you by another person. Sit with it. Do you feel exhilaration? Do you feel energy at the thought of saying yes? Then say yes. Allow yourself to receive. There is divine encouragement in taking risks that feel wild and alive to your heart. There's a lot of that feeling for me in just being in the flow of things, like I would like to experience community. Ta-na! I live in community. I wanted to experience community where we are all aware of these things, of being programmed, of being traumatized, and allowing the space for each to see their own as they do and not take anything personally and realize, we are all, what is that, on our own quest, and our realities have meshed by consent and agreement, and the moment and become a collective. And the moment they don't, we have full within anyone's boundaries and rights when things aren't going the way we would like to partake of and be a part of, to part realities in all this time. It hasn't happened because again we are very well aware of what we're doing here, and it's been the best thing to be on that quest for the internal, you know, the ways to move through the trauma in company. Doing this kind of work, this shadow work alone is rewarding enough, true enough, but being able to do it in company, I don't know, for me it feels as though this were an accelerated course. My housemate has been more I'm going to use terms here that don't really mean what they sound like they mean, but I want to say more awake to the truth of who she is than I was her entire life. She's always had conversations with a higher portion of herself. And she always kept it to herself, unlike me, who had to tell everybody and they brother what I was hearing, seeing, and experiencing. And well, they just, They couldn't handle that, so we had to shut that down. At any rate, come into the truth of who you are in a non-judgmental atmosphere where everybody realizes that we have all been programmed and conditioned, indoctrinated. I don't care what kind of words you want to use, they all fit as to how that goes down. And realizing that also, but you tried to come in and it won't let you. Do you need me to send you a link? I can send you a link. Hold on a second. Pardon me, y'all. I'm gonna pull Journey Intuit in here. Oh, there she comes. All right. Yay. Yay. It worked. Yay, it worked. It worked. It worked.
There we go. Am I on video? No. There we
No,
go.
not the video yet, but you are.
Okay.
Oh,
Hi.
you're in your car.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. They have co-op this morning. I had to get them in and situated.
I gotcha.
So
So, did you hear the cards for today?
I heard the last card that you were talking about, and I was like, man, if that is not the energy for real.
Did you hear the whole thing? Because I think I mean, man, I actually melted down, man, because I know this is, I have felt more of me in here. And, I'm hoping you, me, and Lisa are going to be able to do a conscious conversation very soon because Lisa has a very descriptive experience about what happened for her. And I don't have that, but I feel certain that it's exactly the same thing, just, you know, how she experienced it. And I know you've said you have felt things in your field, like you, and you even said your words were you couldn't grab it, it, but you couldn't grab it and pull it in or something like that, right? I think it's all the same thing. I think it's this. It is so this card. Um, Especially for those who have decided that, and I don't care how we call it, what we call it, the Christ consciousness is a frequency portion of us that would like to have access, that would like to be front driver for the ego personality to have a completely new and different experience, something other than power over other, is what it feels like, at least for me, because that's what I feel like my experience that I'm drawing for me.
You froze on mine.
Oh, poop. Are you on Wi-Fi or cellular? Uh-oh. Where are we going to lose you?
There we go.
Okay.
You disappeared for a minute.
Yeah, I saw that. You disappeared from the screen too.
Okay.
Yeah, it just
So,
feels. Did you hear the first part where it was talking about, are you going to let me in?
uh, no, I didn't hear that part, but that would make absolute sense. Because for me, this energy's kind of been dancing around with me, and I've been opening up to seeing what exactly is coming in for me. And the other day, it was kind of like, how we experience the burning away of things. I feel like when I heard you say, stripping away everything that you're not, I realized the other day that, you know, and it was all for the experience of this quest, right?
Right.
I set out from a very early age trying to figure out who I am, why I operate the way I do, why I feel the way I do, why I do the things that I do, right? And I've always had this deep yearning to know me through and through. And it's been quite the quest. It's had its ups and downs, it's had its twists and turns. And then I was actually doing a little video that I was going to put out on TikTok about this, but I started just rambling and talking to myself basically. And near the end of that video, I was like, all this time I've been searching for me and trying to see me. And along the way, I picked up this idea of what I'm supposed to be or that idea of what I'm supposed to be. And I do feel like all of those things are falling away, you know? And the epiphany that I had for myself was like, I never had to find me. Like I always knew who I was. And that's probably why, like the past 2 years of energy and it coming and unfolding the other day was like so intense for me because it was that realization that I never had to even like try to venture out and find myself because who I am was there, the whole time. Like I didn't have to, but it was fun. It was a fun little journey to do that. But in a sense, I've been saying, okay, well, I'm making my way back to myself. And that is absolutely true. Like I'm making my way back to myself, which also on another turn of it has everything to do with like that core energy, the truth of who we really are. And if you really want to know who that is, I'm telling you, the sweet spot to even get close to that is literally tapping into that inner child essence.
You're so right.
It, and so
Well,
that's what's kind of coming out for me.
that sure make
And it's that union too, that union feel.
yes. Well, and so it's not lost on me the synchronicities with the recording of again the Jeshua channelings because in the last two that I've done, it was male and female energy, and the other one was dealing with emotions, which, it talks about how, and it describes what for me, I know I've done is the larger portion of me. I haven't allowed it all the way in to settle all through, and I'm going to use chakras because also the Jeshua channelings does as well. And I kind of see them as the energy centers that mix and mingle to create the reality that I walk through as I walk. This is how that is. We are, um, I think we're actually replicators of some sort that, that are creating their own reality, through this divinity. This vehicle is the method through which the divine is experiencing its creation. That's what I feel. But it's more than a robot body. It has its own personality, its own nerve endings and feelings, and it reacts on its own. So that's why I
Mhm.
feel like this is not and the divinity knows that, and the divinity will not pressure, push, take over. For me, at least that's what it feels like, right? I have to request this. This is not that was what this was about. But your words just then, what you spoke of, you said you didn't hear the first card.
Mm.
This one's from the Brian Froud's Oracle of Fairies, and it's Sylvanus, and he holds the mask of truth. This is the sword of truth here, or it's more than that. But it goes right along with what you were saying that you're experiencing, coming back to yourself. This is the masks that we have put on. Others have told us who we are, and we've adopted their idea of what we
Yeah.
should be or what they want us to be or
You know,
whatever.
you know what? I think the ultimate mask is that underlying energy that's like you gotta figure out who you are and put an identity to it. That's been huge for me. I think that's, because through the years I've broken down this and that and this and that and this and that, and I've shed layers and took off this mask and took off that mask. But the ultimate mask for me is that mask that says you have to be or need to be, you need to figure this who this is, and that's going to be your ultimate, you know, that thing. But for me, I'm like, but I'm a lot of different things, and I
Right.
also called myself uh, uh, a walking case of duality. you know.
Well, in
I'm
many
a walking
ways,
case of duality.
in many ways, perhaps that is what we've been moving through, of course, being duality, but now, of course, since I personally feel like we're moving towards triality, so what you were
Right.
speaking there too is it's time to pull for
Yes.
me, pull them all in.
Yes.
See,
There has to be complete and total acceptance. This is the other thing I realized. All this time I thought I had been terrified to be myself or to, you know, like really truly whatever that is in that moment, because obviously that can change because I am all, right? And so I thought I was terrified to be myself because of like other people, like what they would think or what they would judge or whatever, whatever. But then I got to think about it. I've never really cared about what anybody else has said. And truth be told, nobody's ever said anything to me anyways. No, I've never been bullied. I wasn't the kid. Now I would have been a perfect target. Somebody super quiet, overweight, didn't have a friend clique. I would have been the perfect target, but nobody ever bothered me. So when it really boiled down, so I was like, what is it that I'm really scared of? Because it's not other people and their thoughts. It's not their judgment. It's my own judgment. It's my own judgment. That if you want to like separate it or talk about the duality is that playful inner child closest to love source energy that you can get to inside, that wants to get excited about life and wants to feel good about life and wants to enjoy this. And if it wants to, love this physical vessel, it wants to love this life that we're living. And then there's that other portion of me that's like, you need to do this, you need to do that, grow up, those sorts of things. So it wasn't everybody else, it was my own fear of my own judgment. Like, what's that other part of me going to say if you giggle too long at this, or if you do this or that? So that's been my
see, that's why I say
realization.
it's so interesting too for me because I think that's been the entire point of all of this is to try on. I mean, again, it's really hard to move out of that acceptance of those personas,
Right.
that we adopted, we allowed,
Yeah.
to be honest. But also, for me, I feel like that's been part of the quest for me as a puzzle piece collector. And well, I'm the investigative martyr in the human design projector category. So yes, I love the act of let me go into it. I'll go into it and figure it out. Because
Hmm.
I think that whole impetus you were speaking to about, um, you know, finding out who you are, that because of that original wound that we have of tearing ourselves out of the unity of oneness. Um, okay, wonderful. I just learned from Lisa that I am going to be needing to go at about 10:30. But yeah, I just saw her pop up. Today is her birthday, by the way, and so
Oh, okay.
I gave her a big shout out. Yes, we were scheduled to go out to lunch today for her birthday, and her mom is going with us. But I have a little bit of postnasal drip, like I said before, that has a little soreness, and I wanted Mama to say yay or nay on that. You know how it is. Um, and she said yes, if I felt up to coming out, I should. So I would love. I'm going to attend that with them, but I feel like you were speaking to an energetic, at least for me, I recognize what you were saying there about the energetic, the impetus to somewhere within our vessels, that energetic to find the truth of who we are carried through the veil in some way and allowed us to see that some of these personas, because I don't think I could have if there wasn't that impetus from the original wound, right?
Yeah.
Because um I don't know. It's just very interesting how all of this seems very synchronistic right now.
But you know what is another thing that's coming in for me? So okay, so you're saying that there's like an ultimate wound of our separation from source, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so another thing
Well,
that
that's
popped
what
in,
I've heard others say. And quite frankly, I know myself, I am still moving through feelings of abandonment and betrayal from time to time. I don't know why
yeah,
I'm kind of
that's
over
what
the
I was gonna
betrayal
say.
part. Right.
Well, think about this too. To heal that wound, initially we're birthed into a perfect environment, what could potentially be a perfect environment to nurture that wound, you
Right.
know? And it's almost like the ultimate. Okay, so let's say that there is truth to, okay, well, we agreed to this and this is how we set it up. We even went as far as like saying, all right, these people are going to be my parents. This is what we're going to be challenged with, and yada, yada, yada. So we come in, and like the ultimate task or test right then and there is that first initial environment that we're put into for every party involved.
Yes.
You know, what is the mother going to do? Are they going to provide nourishment? Are they going to provide love? Are they going to provide compassion and care and energy to this baby? Is this baby going to accept it? Is this baby going to, to open up that
Everything.
space for that? The whole 9 yards. So that's one of the things that's coming in for me. But here's the other thing for me personally that I'm going to have to take a look at, because the other day I thought, when all of this was kind of coming in too, I thought, you know, I was still playing with this concept of we're all one. Okay, from that source. Now, I'm gonna paint the picture that's in my mind just for anybody that's listening. So I don't know. I like to have a visual, and maybe they do too. So source energy. When I think of source energy, I kind of think of how every single person, and I mean every single person, has described it during a BQH session. It is a flow. It's a conscious space to where everything just is. And the feeling that they describe is very fluid, and it's very like, I honestly think of like the energy of plasma, honestly.
That's the
And
experience I had.
yeah, exactly. And a lot of other people have too. And
Hmm.
they always just have this indescribable feeling that they can't really put earthly terms to, right? So that's the energy that I think of. And the physical mind down here is like, well, we think of it as being up here because that's kind of what we were programmed to be, right? Okay, heaven or whatever you want to call it, or source is above us. So that's just the picture that I have in my mind. So, anyways, us being separated from that, I can see how that would cause like the ultimate trauma, right? But here's the thing for me is I'm like playing around this concept. Okay, we're all one, in which I completely understand that, and I can look at another individual and not place judgment upon them. I'm seeing something in them, which also is triggering something in me. It's helping me evolve. It's helping me grow. I'm trying to hurry because I know you got to go.
That's
And
okay.
and then I'm like, well, what is my issue with being, here's the other flip side to the whole identity, or you need to be somebody, or you need to be this, or you need to be that, right? That ultimate mask. My issue has always been, maybe I didn't want to choose an identity, or maybe I didn't want to be like this because I don't want to be like everybody else. And as soon as somebody starts doing the same thing that I'm doing, I will stop. Or as soon as somebody starts, whatever the case may be, I will stop. Like, I'm done, it's over with, I'm ready to move on to the next thing. And that makes me feel like there's some sort of dilemma from me wanting to be part of that all. Like, and my biggest thing in this lifetime has been wanting and needing that freedom. So now I'm like, okay, that wound is so big of abandonment that my frequency or attachment to freedom is like, so I got to kind of take, I got to
Yeah,
kind
I
of take
can.
a look at that for myself.
Yeah, I kind of see where that could be a whole session of questions for you, couldn't it?
For real. Like,
Well,
what's
I-
the issue here? Because I know that like when you experience something, even though it might hurt, even though, it doesn't feel good, sometimes we can get used to that pain so much we stay there because it's, that's what we're used to.
Right.
It's
And it's
there is
easier
a sense
than
of comfort in it.
And it's easier to stay there where you're at a level of pain that you think you can handle rather
Right.
than moving over here where you ain't real sure what might happen over here. Yeah, no, I
Right. Fear of the unknown comes into play too. Yes.
exactly,
So
exactly.
there's so much that has been coming out in these past, what, 2 weeks? Like,
No, I
I mean,
know.
for me personally, like
Well,
it,
I'm
the energy that we've experienced these past 2 weeks is kind of like the icing on the cake from my whole experience.
no,
And
you're right.
that is so cool.
No, you're so right. And that's why I say, so I'm hoping, and I will be finding out perhaps from Lisa today about when she'll be available. I want us three, the New Light Streaming Love team, to come together and have a conscious conversation about just what has been happening because I'm aware of a lot of things that have been happening for her, for myself, for you, that feel like it could be big picture stuff that others may recognize for themselves, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so now I have the ability to make you host if you want to stay live. And
No,
no, you got to go too. Okay.
no, that's okay. I
All
just
right.
wanted to pop in
Well,
and
I'm so glad that you did. I love this. We could do
yes.
like this, you know.
Yeah.
As long
Yeah.
as one of us is at a Zoom where we can bring the other one in, we can do this again on
Yeah.
like with you being mobile like that, right?
Yeah.
But the other day when I was mobile, I wouldn't have been able, I don't think, because I used the YouTube app to go.
Yeah. We couldn't have done it that way.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But
All
you know
right.
what I did notice with that more viewers and views came through, I guess because you're using their platform,
Yes. Yes.
directly.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I
Yeah.
had decided to stop recording our lives, and perhaps I need to not do that. But it just takes up so much room on this laptop, and this laptop's starting
Yeah.
to not work right. I've got to get some of it off.
Yeah.
It's gotten pretty full of late, but well, I'm really glad that you were able to hop on. And if you want to be astounded, go back after this and take a listen to the first card from the fairy oracle because you're just going to be blown away by the whole thing, I think. I mean, like I said, I didn't expect to do the ugly cry this morning on camera, but there you go, you know. So anyway, I appreciate everyone. I know that there will be more folks that will see this later. If you were pulled here today for some reason, chances are there was something here for you, and I hope that it was for you because I'm excited. I know it's for me, and I'm excited. So if it's for you, chances are there's at least something here for each to consider. Um,
Yeah.
and I hope that you will move towards that which brings you joy in each moment that presents itself to you. It is just a perspective to consider. Bye, sweetie heart. Till next time, be well.